Thank you, Lord. We praise you, Father. Thank you, God. Thank you, Lord.
Thank you, God. Holy are you.
We bow our heart, we bend our knees. Oh, Spirit, come make us humble. We turn our eyes from evil things. Oh, Lord, we cast down our idols. So give us clean hands, give us pure hearts. Let us not lift our souls to another. Give us clean hands, oh God, give us pure hearts. Let us not lift our souls to another. And God, let us be a generation that seeks your face, O God of Jacob. We bow our hearts, we bend our knees. Oh, Spirit, come make us humble.
Make us humble, Lord.
We turn our eyes from evil things. Oh Lord, we cast out our idols. So give us clean hands, give us pure hearts. Let us not lift our souls to another. Give us clean hands, oh God, give us pure hearts. Let us not lift our souls to another. And God, let us be a generation that seeks your face, oh God of Jacob. And God, let us be a generation that seeks your face, oh God of Jacob. Give us clean hands, oh, give us clean hands. Give us pure heart, oh, give us pure heart. Give us clean hands. Let us not lift our souls to another, oh God, we cry out. Give us clean hands, give us pure hearts. Let us not lift our souls to another. Give us clean hands, oh God, give us pure hearts. Let us not lift our souls to another. And God, let us be a generation that seeks your face, oh God of Jacob. And God, let us be a generation that seeks your face, oh God of Jacob. Oh God of Jacob. Give us clean hands and give us pure hearts. Lord, I want to lift up our youth right now, God, and the leadership of our youth, Lord. God, there's so many. This church is growing, and there's such a passion in the ministries for our youth. And God, I want to lift them up as we sing that song and thinking about that generation, Lord. It seems that this world, so many have turned away, God, and we ask that our generation and the generations coming up behind us, God, turn their faces back to you, Lord, and see all the blessing that you have for us, God. Help us turn our eyes away from the idols of this world and and turn our faces to you, God, to fall on our knees and just praise you and worship you, God, with all of our hearts and our voices, Lord. Thank you, God. We just continue to worship you, Lord. You are amazing, Father. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. You are so amazing. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see so clearly. Hallelujah, grace like rain falls down on me. Hallelujah, all my stains are washed away, are washed away. Was grace that taught my heart to feel, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Hallelujah, grace like rain falls down on me. Hallelujah, all my stains are washed away. Hallelujah, grace like rain falls down on me. And hallelujah, all my stains are washed away, are washed away. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing your praise than when we first begun. Hallelujah, grace like rain falls down on me. And hallelujah, all my stains are washed away. And hallelujah, grace like rain falls down on me. And hallelujah, all my stains are washed away. And hallelujah, and hallelujah, and hallelujah. And hallelujah, all my stains are washed away, are washed away.
For your grace, Lord, thy faithfulness. morning. Oh, we give you praise, Lord. We worship you this morning. Oh, and for the cross, God. For the cross, yes, Lord. Salvation in you. Life in you.
love, amazing grace.
Lord, thank you for the amazing grace. Lord, your lavish love poured out on us all this morning. Thank you, Lord, for the abundance that you provided for us. And God, I would ask as we continue this morning that your word would be alive and powerful unto us, Lord. I pray that you'd anoint me as your mouthpiece, Lord, that I might speak your word as true. Lord, I pray that we might be able to hear and grow from your word this morning. And God, that we might be a lighthouse to those around us. God, I pray that your love and your life flow in us and through us, God. We give you all the praise and glory. In Jesus' name. And everyone said, amen. Amen. You may be seated. Thank you. So, in a moment, we're going to have a little video clip I want to show you, but as you can tell by the wonderful stage behind us, we have a new sermon series that we're starting. From this day forward, we're going to talk about marriage and God's design and plan for all of you. And how many people have ever been to a wedding before? All right, good. How many people were at your own wedding? Okay, good. That's a good sign. You think so? So, you're probably familiar with the vows. Well, we have a little rendition of some of the vows that you may have heard or seen before. If you want to play the clip for us.
Andrew placed the ring on Melissa's hand and repeat after me. I, Andrew Paul Daniel Engstrom. I, Andrew Paul Daniel Engstrom.
I, Andrew Paul Daniel Engstrom,
Do take Melissa Renee Warren
do take Melissa Renee Warren
to be my lawfully wedded wife.
to be my lawfully and pancakey I've been scared of this all my life. Just give her a second.
I've seen this before. I, Andrew Paul.
See, man, I'm like,
Take a recess.
They did eventually finish those vows. In fact, that video went viral in 2009 because of just the connection. They were trying to show it to their wedding parties just as a fond memory, and it just went viral. It spread out for everywhere. Everybody wanted to see that one. We've all heard those vows before, and today as we start this series from this day forward, we're going to break down those vows, and really those vows have a little bit of an origination in the Book of Common Prayer, published in 1549. Wow. It says this, and you may be familiar with this: I take thee to be my lawfully wedded husband or wife, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish till death do us part, according to God's holy ordinance. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Before 1549, marriage ceremonies really weren't labeled down. They weren't nailed down. In fact, the most officiated wedding ceremonies started in early Rome when they had to make sure that the transfer of the property, that is the bride, took place, and they signed the right documents and stuff like that to make sure the dowries are handed over. It was more of a business transaction. But when Christ came on the scene and the church began to flourish and they began to look at this incredible commitment and God's divine plan, they took a little bit firmer action, I can say it that way. And so as a result, we have these vows that you've heard in one form or another. They've been altered and used in different ways throughout the years. And the whole promise and premise for these vows is based on the fact that God instituted this concept that we call marriage. It's something that God brought about. And so as we talk about wedding today, I understand that we have people that come from various backgrounds. You may come from a broken home. You may come from a divorced situation. You may be here and you may never even thought about marriage being part of your plans. Maybe cohabitation is simply enough for you. But I want to challenge us all today to elevate the thought and the understanding of what marriage is. That it isn't something that just happens. It isn't something that's just a contractual agreement, but it is a God-ordained covenant. And one that regardless of your marital status today, whether you're married or not, if you're looking to get married, if you're looking to never be married, something to recognize that this is something God planned out. Amen? In fact, we see Jesus lay this out for us. And when he was questioned by the Pharisees about this concept of marriage, he understands this in Matthew 19, verses 4 through 6, I should say. It says this. When he's questioned, he comes back to the Pharisees and says, he answered, have you not read that he who created them from the beginning made them male and female? And said, therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one. And what therefore God has joined together, let not man separate. That's pretty deep, isn't it? Now, I'll let you know that these passages have been used and abused for various political agendas and other things in the world around us, maybe to bring condemnation, maybe to bring accusation. But I want you to understand why Jesus brought this out. Jesus spoke this in such a way in a time when it was easy to get rid of wives and get rid of children because they were just considered property. All they needed was a letter of divorce to say, you know what, I got tired, she talked too much. That was grounds. You could have a nagging wife and you could divorce her. Good, no man said anything. That's good. We're going to move on. All right. Yeah, that's right. Silly stuff. And Jesus said, Moses gave you that because your hearts were so hard. And then he answered this, have you not read? Where did they read it? It was in God's word. It was in the Bible. And so it's true, right? He created a male and female, and he said, for this reason, a man should leave his father and mother, and he shall join with his wife. The words there are leave and cleave, right? And so I have a great illustration, so I'm going to ask Pastor Zach and Pastor Taylor to come on up, because Pastor Taylor has new high heels she wants to show off. Growing up, I loved silly putty, right? Silly putty is a wonderful thing. I have sticky tack this morning, but it almost works just like silly putty, right? Everyone likes Taylor shoes, right? So when we talk about marriage, we talk about this concept that a man should leave his father and mother. He starts his own house, right? And so two distinct individuals, right? And so I'm going to give one to Taylor and one to Zach, right? And you guys can, play with it more, right? Before God brought them together, they had their own distinct individual life. You could clearly see this is Zach's little ball of life, right? And this is Taylor's little squiggle of life, right? Each its own shape and form and purpose. They were different. But when they bring them together in marriage, they come together through God's divine plan and purpose. They don't get smushy. They now become one big lump, right? Now, the incredible thing is that if you ever had silly putty, you try and pull it apart, they're stuck with each other, right? You can't tell one begins or one ends, and eventually you could rip it apart if you want to. But when we talk about leaving and cleaving, it's not just a matter that 1 + 1 = 2. It becomes 1 + 1 = 1. That's the concept of leaving and cleaving. Thank you guys. You guys can sit back down. Thank you very much. Great job. Why do we spend so much time talking about this? Because if marriage is just a contract, contracts have loopholes. If marriage is just a promise, promises can be broken, right? But God had a design plan, a divine plan, a grand design where it was a divine covenant. It was agreement that in this supernatural concept, God takes two lives that are distinct and individual of themselves, and he brings them together into one. And as a result of that oneness, of that union, life comes. Relationships blossom. God does an incredible thing. Our world will tell you that it's just simply a process that we go through. But God had something much more in stake for you and for me. You are called to live a good life together. Now, I said I know we come to, in our culture, in our time, that we know what fractured families look like. That's not an uncommon concept, even in the church. So today is not supposed to bring any condemnation. In fact, we're going to talk a little bit about that in just a bit. But understanding that God does have a purpose, God does have a plan, and that this isn't something that man came up with. Because let's just be honest, if it was a man concept, we could throw it away anytime we wanted to. If it was a man concept, there would be a lot more loopholes, right? Sundays would be an official day off from marriage because football's on, right? We would find ways to get out of it, but God says, no, you guys are leaving and you're cleaving. You are becoming one. And so the challenge is for us to understand is that if this is a God thing, and God brought these lives together, whether it be your marriage relationship, or it be your parents' relationship, or your friends, another couple's relationship, we're called to invest and see it flourish and grow, right? So I want to challenge you today that there are resources that are available, first of all and foremost, how you can help this relationship grow. And so I have a website you may be familiar with, Focus on the Family. If you go to focusonfamily.com/marriage, you can go and there's like a whole list of resources available for you. It's great if you're in an engaged process. If there's anybody in the room that might be looking to getting married sometime in the future here, there's a great tools on there about setting a good foundation, right? Maybe you've been married for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, and it says, hey, you remember how to go on a date? Here's some tips, right? There's some great tools that are available for you, but here's the real kicker. You've got to invest in them, right? This is an important thing. And when we talk about these wedding vows we just laid out, that from this day forward, wherever you've been in the past, it's in the past. We're going to talk from this day forward. Today, you're called and challenged to have and to hold, to take ownership of and to possess. That doesn't mean have dominion. It doesn't mean to be the boss, but it means to take ownership and responsibility for where God has placed you. You're called to have and to hold from this day forward your spouse. So you're called to invest in each other. So let's just start with the men, right? Everybody said amen? All right. First, it says this in 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7. It says, husbands, likewise husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way, showing honor to the woman as the weaker vessel, since they are heirs with you of the grace of life, so that your prayers may not be hindered. Here's a great little spiritual truth, man. If you feel like your prayers are not getting answered, you better do a relationship check with your wife. Because if things aren't right with your wife, guess what's going to happen? Your prayer life is going to tank, right? But it says here, husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way. We're not asking you to understand your wife. Amen? But the challenge is that you would live in such a way as to be understood. That your commitment and your resolve and your purpose for the family would be clearly understood. Our culture is in dire need of husbands, true husbands, men that are committed to the family, to their wives, that are willing to shoulder the responsibility and go to the next level. And I want to just clarify something here, because I know as soon as we start talking about this marriage concept, as soon as we start talking about wives, and of course we're going to get to the big S word in just a minute, but just brace yourselves, okay? But it says here, honor them. It's showing honor to the woman as the weaker vessel. And I know all of a sudden there are women that are rising up saying, I'm not weak. I've got a frying pan. I'm not afraid to use it. Right? Weaker is not necessarily a terrible thing. Think about this. What would you rather have, a ton of steel or a ton of gold? Steel is stronger. Steel is heavier. But gold, though more malleable, is much more valuable. Husbands, we are called to be involved in this relationship. You catch that? I mean, if there's anything as husbands and those that are watching online as well, as husbands, be understanding, be involved, be committed to this relationship. Honor your wives. That doesn't mean you're making her God. You're not, we're not talking about worshiping her as a deity, because obviously that's just going too far and that's just plain silly. But to recognize her value and her worth, that is part of understanding. That is the commitment to you. In fact, here's a personal challenge. Men, have you spent more time with hobby than your honey? That should be bad. If you spent more time with your hobby than your honey, you've shown where your treasure is. In fact, it says this in Matthew 6:21. For where your treasure is, there is where your heart's going to be. So men, where's your heart at? Does your car get more attention than your wife? The time that you spent washing and polishing your car, have you spent time washing your wife? Not in the literal sense. But the scripture is this incredible example of the husband waiting and washing and tending to his bride. To you. It says in Ephesians 5:28, in the same way, husbands should love their wives as their own bodies. Do you spend more time in the gym than you do with your wife? I mean, we can spend an hour, obviously that's not my problem. But you can spend an hour in the gym making sure you've got the perfect body and you're looking ripped and you're in good shape and everything, but are you spending the same time making sure your relationship is in shape? Husbands, live in an understanding way. Be committed to your bride. It's first and foremost, this is a God-ordained thing. God put you there. God brought her into your life. Show that. Invest in that. Put the effort into it. And the same would go for wives as well. Wives, are you investing in the man that you want him to be or the one that God has called him to be? Wives, sometimes there's this burden I see often in counseling where he's not the man I want him to be. Well, is he the man that God's called him to be? Because maybe your expectations need a little bit of reality check, right? If my wife was counting on me to have long flowing black hair, our relationship is dead, right? Like part of my scalp. Fortunately, we have some good expectations, right? Wives, are you investing in the man that God's called him to be? Too often I see relationships get rocky because a certain set of expectations aren't being met. And by himself, no man can match or meet those standards. But through God, your husband can be more than you thought he could be. Are you helping or are you hindering that process? Are you investing in your husband? Are you spending the time to build him up and encourage and strengthen him to be the man? Or are you in the public place calling slander on him? Speaking negatively of him? Here, the S word. We see it, it's coming up. You know it is, wives. Colossians 3:18. Wives, submit to your husbands as is fitting to the Lord. There it is. In fact, every time we see this whole marriage description discussed in Colossians and Corinthians and Ephesians, there's one line for wives. Wives, submit to your husband as to the Lord. Men, you get a whole paragraph. Maybe because we knew how thick we were, right? Here is that S, and I notice I can even in our small little attendance today, I could tell women are bristling with that word, right? Because we have this understanding or this misunderstanding. When we talk about the word submit, we're talking slavery. We're talking dominion. We're talking, we're the lesser and not the better. But that's not what we're talking about here. This word is sure to rile every woman in America because of its misunderstanding. It's a concept, though, that is so foreign that we think it's antiquated, irrelevant, and even dangerous for women to use in when it calls in the marriage relationship. And that word is submit. Unfortunately, today, if you're looking for me to ignore this word or to skip over it, you'd be disappointed. Because in the Bible, it is translated several times as submit. The Greek, the word is hupotasso. And that means this quite simply. It has to do with regards to accepting the exact place that God has assigned to you. Most lexicons will accord this word in that range and that understanding. It's dependent usually upon the context of it being used in, but it means quite simply this: to recognize your God placement. Here's an incredible thought, women, for wives, young and old, and those soon to be. Submitting doesn't necessarily mean slavery, but it does mean recognition that God has placed you where you're at. That if we go back to the very beginning, if marriage is truly a God-ordained place, if God has truly come up with this concept and this is what His divine plan for us should be involved in, then you're in that relation. That's a divine plan. It's a divine appointment. Now, I will say, by way of understanding too, not every man lives up to that concept. And there are relationships that are abusive and dangerous, and we're not talking about supporting those by any means. We're not talking about being in a situation that is detrimental to your safety or your health. But what we are talking about, that in the God's divine plan, in the right purpose, in the right place, God's put you there. So the good news today is this: marriage is not to be a dictatorship. It's not a my way or the highway type of relationship. But once again, one that's recognized that God ordained this covenant, and He calls you to invest in each other. And not just in each other, but also into the next generation. We are called to invest to those around us as well. Are you spending time investing in your relationship, in your marriage, but also you setting the pace, and are you also encouraging those that are coming up what a married couple in Christ should look like? In Titus chapter 2, verses 3 through 8, listen to what it says here. Older women likewise are to be reverent in behavior, slanderers or slaves to much wine. They are to teach what is good. And so to train the young women to love their husbands and children, to be self-controlled, pure, working at home, kind and submissive to their own husbands. There's that S word again. That the word of God may not be reviled. Likewise, urge the younger men to be self-controlled. Show yourself in all respects to be models of good works, and in your teaching show integrity, dignity, and sound speech that cannot be condemned, so that an opponent may be put to shame, having nothing evil to say about us. The next generation, those in this front row, those that are in those high schools in the world around us, they're looking for what a godly role model relationship is like. Older couples speak into the younger couples' lives. How do you handle this situation? How do you do in this situation? I just want to quit. I want to get out. I'm tired of this. I don't like this agreement, this contract that we're in. And you can come in and say, no, look, this is what you should do. Let's pray. Because God brought you together, He can keep you together. Let's take time to encourage one another, strengthen one another. Listen to this. Our culture is going up with this understanding that marriage is a good thing because you get a tax write-off for it. Yeah, and what? There's benefits to being married. But it's more than that. It's a God placement. Older couples show the younger couples, hey, look, this is how we got through. This is what we did. If you want your husband to have confidence, Don't talk bad about him in front of everybody in the church, because he'll only live up to what you're saying. Husbands, young men, hey, be self-controlled. Turn off the internet. Put the car in the garage. Spend some time with your wife. Control yourself. We need to help out with each other, right? We need to be in relationships that can build each other up and strengthen each other. Because in our world, it's easy to quit. It's easy to quit on this relationship. It's easy. If anyone said that getting married was going to answer all your problems, they don't know what they're talking about. It compounds them. Because no longer you're free to just think of yourself. A family now. You have a commitment with each other. This whole concept we talked about at the very beginning, to have and to hold, means that you're committed for the long haul. That you're committed to each other. Older women, teach the younger women. Older men, be the role model for the younger men. Encourage and strengthen. Build each other up. I want to challenge you as part of the altar call, if I'd say for the day, part of the closing is this, is that if you don't have another person that can speak into your life when it comes about what marriage should be like or what marriage should, just the encouragement and strengthening, a mentor, find somebody. Ask me. I'll help you. Ask Pastor Zach or Taylor. We'll help you. We want you to get to a place where you can get connected and you're encouraged. Because you're not supposed to go through life by yourself. One lays down, they get cold. Two lay down together, they can keep warm. Right? Life's going to have troubles. One person, it's going to be hard sometimes. But God has a plan for you. Now I know when we talk about this, we talk about the concept of divorce. My goal, and I believe it's God's intent and desire, is to bring restoration and never shame. If you have experienced that, or you've been told even by the church that you're lesser because of what's happened, I want to personally apologize to you. That's not God's intent or goal. God hates divorce. That is true. It's in the Bible. It doesn't say God hates the divorcee. God doesn't like what happens because of the rending that takes place, because of the pain that happens. And I think if we could be honest with it, you'd never wish divorce on somebody. But understand this, is that God still has a plan. From this day forward, God still has a purpose. That He hasn't given up on you. Those weren't wasted years. That God can still make things happen. Maybe today you're here and your parents got divorced. And you're sitting there and you're wondering, how do I deal with this? You've heard it said before, but I'm going to tell you again, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. Sometimes, as people, we make mistakes and we don't live up to that plan. We don't live up to that design. As a result, we go astray. And feelings and people get hurt. But God, from the beginning, designed a good thing for you. And it's still available for you. And I want to challenge you today. Maybe you're here today and you have the perfect marriage relationship. Praise God. Don't hide it. Show those around you. Help those around you. If you've been through hurt, find encouragement. If you're in this relationship and you've been married for a long time, find someone you can speak into. And if you've been to a place where you're looking for help, ask, and we'll do what we can for you. Because this is something that God wants to bring strength in your life. Amen? Will you stand to your feet? I wanted to be conscious today because of the snow and the weather. I know even though we hear the plows coming in, praise God, right? But God still has a plan. It's not old or outdated. In fact, as we get ready to celebrate communion in a moment, this incredible concept of marriage is going to get played out again at the end, when we're going to sit down at the great marriage feast. We're going to sit down at the wedding supper of the Lamb, as the Bible calls it. This incredible thing that God is waiting for His bride, His church. and that we're going to be with him, and he's going to have and to hold, right? The amazing thing is, no matter how wayward we've been, no matter how far we think we've gone, God hasn't just given up on us. He hasn't abandoned us. And in your relationship, in your marriage relationship, you're going to have highs, you're going to have lows. I'm going to encourage you to hold on and not give up. Amen? God, I just thank you today for your love for us and for the supper that we will one day be part of, this great wedding reception. I thank you for the divine plan that you have for us. And I would ask, God, that you'd bring healing to marriages, healing to relationships. I pray, God, that you'd help us to grow. And I pray, God, that you'd challenge us to invest. Challenge to invest in our spouse. Challenge to invest in younger couples and older couples. God, help us, Lord, to once again show respect and honor to what you have designed and created. Lord, in a moment as we begin to take communion, I'd ask that you would just speak to our hearts, Lord. Lord, if there's any guilt and shame, let it be removed and washed away in the name of Jesus Christ. And God, I would pray that you would speak life even now in the marriage relationships. God, as we go through this series, I pray you just continue to challenge us and direct our hearts towards you. And Lord, as we take communion here in just a moment, God, we celebrate the fact that you've brought us in, that we were once lost and apart, separate unto ourselves, but you brought us in and made us part of your family, that we're now one with you. Thank you, Lord, for what you have done through Jesus Christ. Thank you, Jesus. I'm going to ask those that are helping serve communion if you come forward. I'm going to have you stay standing just because you've been sitting long enough. But I'm going to ask you to hold on to the emblems until all have been served, and then we'll partake together. The Apostle Paul writes in 1 Corinthians chapter 11. He says, "For I received from the Lord, I also now deliver unto you, that the Lord Jesus, on the night he was betrayed, he took the bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and said, 'This is my body, which is for you. Do this in remembrance of me.' In the same way, he also took the cup after supper, saying, 'This cup is the new covenant in my blood. Do this as often as you drink it in remembrance of me. For as often as you eat this bread and you drink this cup, you proclaim the Lord's death until he comes.'" So as we hold these emblems in our hands, we recognize the body of Christ, which we belong, and the blood of Christ, by which we are forgiven. And so today, will you join me as we give thanks for this bread? God, thank you so much for the opportunity to be part of your body. Thank you, Lord, so much for bringing us in and making us your own. I pray, God, that as we celebrate this time, we recognize that you are here with us, that you are our provision, and we look forward to being with you once again. Thank you, Lord, for this church and for what you've done. We give you all the praise and the glory. Let us eat together. Likewise, we have this cup that represents his blood which was shed for us on Calvary. The Bible says this, that the wages of sin is death, and that there is no forgiveness of sins without shedding of blood. And yet we know that by his blood that he shed for us on Calvary, we have forgiveness. Today we are cleansed and we are forgiven with God, but we also take time to forgive those who've trespassed against us. So let us give thanks for this cup together, shall we? Thank you, Lord, for the forgiveness that you provide us, for your grace and your mercy that overflows so incredibly. And Lord, we also take time to forgive those who have hurt us and wronged us, who've trespassed against us. We extend the very same grace and forgiveness that has been extended to us. We do so by the great name of Jesus Christ. Thank you, Lord, for the promise of an eternity with you. And Lord, we look forward to drinking this cup with you once again at the great wedding supper. Lord, we thank you and we bless you now. Let us drink together. Thank you, Lord. God, I just thank you once again for the church. I thank you for this body. I thank you for the God appointment that you have for all of us, God. That there is no accidents, that you have a purpose and a plan. And Lord, that you can take even the worst of circumstances and turn it for good. Lord, I give you the marriages of our church. And I pray, God, that you would bring strength. Lord, that you'd bring healing. And Lord, I pray that you'd bring abundance of your love. Lord, I thank you so much. Be with us now as we go. And I pray now for your church. I pray may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord watch over you as you would go out and as you would come back in. And may the Lord be your strength now. In Jesus' name. Amen. God bless you. Have a great day. The driveway's been plowed.